Hey guys, it's Katie Taylor, and it is time for another Close to My Heart Twisted Sisters YouTube hop, where we take a current product and show you a twisted use for it. For this Twisted Sisters hop, where I take one of the new products in the July through September catalog and I put my own twist on it, something that you might not think of, I've chosen the Crisp Air. Here is a look at these gorgeous pattern papers. Again, very fallish, it gives you an autumn vibe, as well as the sticker sheet. So I am going to take a couple of these pattern papers and I'm actually going to make it very nautical and use some photos of our trip to Cancun last summer. So stay tuned and watch how I do that, and then also keep in mind that a link to the playlist with all the other Twisted Sisters will be down below. So I am going to be using the Ahoy There stamp set in thin cut. And each one of our stamp sets comes with not only the stamp set, it comes with a little foam insert that helps you get good crisp images. And then this particular stamp set comes with a set of metal dies. So all the images on here that you see highlighted in mint, that means there's a coordinating metal die, so you don't have to fussy cut. So I have already cut those off camera. And I am just going to put these onto my little foam sheet and we will get these stamped. The first thing you want to do is gently remove the image that you're wanting to use from the carrier sheet, and then you want to find an appropriate block. You want to make sure that the block is big enough, but not too big so you won't get ink all over the block and then possibly all over your project. So I'm going to be using this one. Again, you can see the clear acrylic block and the polymer stamp is going to allow me to see exactly what I'm doing when I go to stamp down on this little wheel. As far as my ink colors go, I'm going to be using Toffee, Sundance, and Sapphire. And as far as the wheel goes, I believe I want to use Toffee. So our ink pads have a magnetic closure. All you have to do is open them, and then I just usually set the ink on top of that lid. And then you want to season the stamp really well with your finger. Because it is the first time I'm using this image, there is a protective coating on the stamp, and you just want to either season it with your hand, or you can also use a rub and remove eraser. The next thing I want to do is ink my stamp up. Again, because I have a clear acrylic block and a polymer stamp, I'm going to be able to see if I've got good coverage. Let's put that right back down into that Toffee ink just for a second, and then I can stamp down onto this wheel. Now, some images you may have to actually pay attention and make sure that you're getting the little edges lined up, but on this one, for the most part, it's all even. Now I'm going to do these others and speed that up for you right quick. After you're finished stamping your image, you want to make sure you clean it really well. I use the stamp chamois from Close to My Heart and just plain water. Now, your stamp images will stain, but the color will not transfer onto your next project. You gently remove the image from your block and place it back on the carrier sheet, and then put all the carrier sheet and everything else into the nice envelope. I am coloring this wheel using the red-brown tri-blend marker, and it is probably one of my favorite browns. I've colored the entire wheel using the light side, and then I'm going back in with the middle color, or the medium, and I'm just basically coloring out from the center of the wheel and then just right around that ring, again with that medium color. And on this wheel, I'm not going to use the dark. I'm just going to go back in with the light color and blend everything out. The wonderful thing about tri-blend markers is you have a light, a medium, and a dark that just lends itself to lots of shading. I'm going to color these cute little clouds with some Capri ink and my blending tool. And then as far as the boat goes, I am masking off those cells with some Post-it notes, and then there's this little wave stamp from the Ahoy there, and I'm actually just going to create a pattern with Sundance ink on those cells. So if you do not have a die cut machine, do not worry, because Close to My Heart offers all of our stamp sets without the purchase option of the die cut. So you can see here I am just fussy cutting this lighthouse. I didn't think I was going to use it at first, and that's why I didn't have one already cut. So I'm going to use my Versamat to line things up. I am just going to lay these pieces down and kind of do some measurement and then mark those measurements onto a Post-it note. This will tell me where to stamp that little watercolor piece from the stamp set. It is brand new. It will debut August 1st, and you know me and my perfectly imperfect patterns. Well, this stamp set is probably going to be a close second to that. So I'm just using Capri ink and then looking over at that Post-it note and those measurements and hoping I come pretty close. I end up not, but it's an easy fix. So there's another little element that almost looks like water droplets on that same stamp set. And so I just filled in there, and then I want to go ahead and stamp this little image in between the pieces of pattern paper. I did go ahead and use my scissors to edge distress all the pieces. And then, of course, I'm just laying those down. Now, this white polka dot piece, I love it. Again, it's from the Crisp Air collection. It wasn't long enough. You can see here I'm filling in with that one. It wasn't long enough, so I'm going to have to cut it here in just a second. So you see I've got all those colors down, and then this is where I'm just kind of seeing where those photos will go. I just cut it in half with my scissors, and then I'm taping it down. And then after I remove my layout, I will cut off the excess. So just to kind of add some extra texture, I am pulling out this 12 by 12 stencil. It is on the retiring list, so if you want it, you need to grab it. And I just love the different size of circles. So I am just using Capri ink again, just to kind of add those little circles on there. And then I'm just going to start placing my little images so I can know where to stamp more images. The one thing I love about stamps, and one thing that made me fall in love with Close to My Heart stamps, again, I've already mentioned that you can see through the block and the clear polymer stamp, but I just love how much dimension a stamp can give you. And so on this layout, I have the stenciling, I have stamps that are directly on the layout, like the sentiment I'm about to do, these waves, and then those clouds. And then I was also able to stamp those clouds and then, of course, color them and use 3D foam tape here in a second. Same thing with those little birds that I'm stamping. And now I need to add a beam coming out from that lighthouse. So I'm going to stamp that in sapphire, and then to color it in, I'm just going to turn that image over on the back side and use Sundance ink. I am stamping that off my project so I can get a second generation or a lighter color for the beam. I am going to pull out my cheddar gloss spray and just add some splatters all around that left side and then in this bottom right corner. And then I am going to just clean it up and then bring out my photos again and then start assembling all the little embellishments. So first I'm going to remove it from my Versamat and then use a rub and remove eraser to remove that adhesive and then cut off the excess of that middle pattern paper. So for my photos, I have backed them with tissue paper and then put them on some 3D foam sheets. Now, it's really hard to tell if these photos are straight, so I am bringing out my T-ruler, again, because of those pattern paper that are diagonal. I'm going to adhere that lighthouse with 3D foam tape as well as these two clouds. And then I am going to play around with this little bottom cluster right here. I end up putting the wheel on 3D foam tape, and then that anchor is going to go on top and kind of overlap the photo just to kind of line up that left edge of the photo and then that stalk of the anchor. So for these little pieces, these actually came off the back side of the blue paper that I've used on those diagonal strips. It's full of little squares, and there are these little Sundance diagonal lines, and I thought those would be perfect just to cut off of there and use as little pieces, kind of peeking behind the photos to bring in, again, that yellow element. This stamp set also came with the sentiment that says, "Thanks for being my anchor." And so I thought that that was really cute because of the anchor down in the bottom cluster. And then I'm going to use a few little hearts from this sticker sheet. Again, this was my product to twist. Again, the crisp air is very, very fallish, but I'm loving how these elements are playing along with our Cancun photos. So this little piece up here, I am going to move it to the very top. It is peach, and it says, "I love this," which I do. It just, the water in Mexico is just gorgeous. And of course, just my husband and I getting away and enjoying each other's company. And then there are these little tiny hearts. Now I've put one on the cloud, and then one up here by the cloud, and then one in the middle of that lighthouse where the beam is coming out. And then I'm going to pull, I believe, a couple of other hearts. And then I'm going to work on my title. Now, I've spelled out Cancun with a brand new product, and because I like its placement, I'm going to use press and seal to gently pick that title up and then apply adhesive all on the back side. Now, I did end up not recording how I put it down and peeled back the press and seal, but it's just such a neat technique to use, especially if you line things up and you don't want to take them off. Again, here's some close-ups of this layout, a Cancun layout featuring fall paper in the new Crisp Air collection from the Close to My Heart July through September 2022 catalog. Again, I'll leave links down below to all the products that I used, as well as the link to the playlist for the Close to My Heart Twisted Sisters YouTube hop. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching. If you aren't already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and sign up for notifications. And then if you liked what you saw, please leave a comment. Go ahead and hit the like button. It helps YouTube show you more of the same, and it helps my channel out in the process. Have a great weekend.